right, hey everyone. Welcome back. Today we're continuing to talk about trauma or ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And today we're going to be talking about how anger relates to these experiences. And a lot of us are kind of wondering like how anger fits into this, whether it's that you allow someone into your life that's angry and abusive toward you, or you might be a person who kind of lashes out and feels angry toward others. So we'll kind of chunk that down and break it down and talk about how anger relates to our experiences that we've had as a child, and the trauma that we have dealt with. So first of all, I want to just kind of give a disclaimer that this is not a therapy session. I'm just explaining some things about our brain and trauma and anger or whatever. And please talk to your mental health professional, talk to your counselor, so you can help explore these more in your therapy sessions. These are just some information gathering for you guys to have so that next time that you talk to your counselor, you have some things that you might want to talk about. Awesome. So let's talk about anger. For those of you who have experienced trauma as a child, you understand that sometimes the person that is abusive or causing that trauma to you has anger, and they lash out and they make you feel unsafe, and that's what kind of flips our lid and makes us feel unsafe and makes us use our hindbrain to survive. And thank God that our hindbrain is there, because its only purpose is for survival, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So when you feel someone getting angry and your brain flips and you're like, oh my gosh, fight, flight, or faint, then you're ready to prepare yourself to do what you need to do to survive. Now, where this gets a little bit confusing is that when that person in our life as we grow up feels anger toward us, they say abusive or do abusive things towards us in an angry fashion, yet they are a caretaker, then we kind of imprint that anger is also part of love. So we see them as a thing that is together. So whenever someone loves us, we see that as anger plus love equals a relationship. And growing up, we understand relationships in that manner. So maybe as a teenager, whenever you start dating, you feel far more comfortable allowing someone to yell at you or to harm you or to hit you, because you're just equating that with how relationships and love go. As a child, we don't understand that love is only supposed to be nutrition, support, nurturing, those positive things, teaching us how to kind of live in our world. And instead, some people have relationships where they nurture and care, yet on top of that, they abuse and hurt. So that is just part of a relationship a lot of people feel as they get older. So you have to kind of break that cycle and understand that that is not normal, and that is your trauma brain kind of tricking you. I like to try to think of trauma brain as like a trickster. Like, it's not always telling you the truth. Though that is your reality, it is not real. Though you feel that anger and abuse is how a relationship should be, that is not real. That is your trauma brain telling you lies that you have to kind of start to navigate between, like, what am I feeling in my body, and do I feel safe? And if you ever feel like that answer is no, that you don't feel safe, then that person is triggering something from your past. Now, working with your professional mental health provider, you can discern if that's like, oh, they burn a vanilla candle in their house, so I feel triggered sometimes because that's what we had burning in our house when I was young. Or is it that this person is actually mimicking some of the behaviors that you feel are acceptable because you've been through trauma as a child? So that's kind of why we relive traumas as adults, is because one, we accept them as normal, and two, they are kind of combined together as love, and we have learned that our voice doesn't matter. So whenever you're hearing something that's triggering you in your past as a child. You may have learned that being silent is the best way to keep from getting hit as much. Or if someone is being sexually abusive to you, then just kind of disassociating and going somewhere else in your brain keeps it from being as damaging to you. So then as an adult, when someone is acting that way toward us, or starting to make us feel uncomfortable, predators are really good at grooming people who have been abused, because abusive people have a hard time finding their voices. So you may not as quickly say, "Stop, that's inappropriate. Nobody treats me like that." Because you've never had a voice to be able to say that, because you've had to stay safe and your body had to stay safe. So things that you are feeling as an adult are the ways that you stayed safe as a child, and that's okay. Like, that's amazing that you've stayed safe and your body has stayed so safe. Do not feel bad that you've had to go through those things in your body, because that is, your body was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. So that is how we kind of allow anger into relationships as adults. Now, for those of us who have problems with anger and we kind of lash out, the issue could be that that is how you handled stressors and trauma in your past. So you were a fighter. Whenever something happened to you, you fought that. You fought that aggressive behavior. You fought that trauma, or you fought whatever you needed to do. Even if it was in your brain, you built up that anger and that aggression. So then as an adult, you've used that anger and aggression to stay safe, to keep people away, to keep people from being close to you, because closeness means that you've been hurt. So being vulnerable and being in our own bodies and being calm, even when we're triggered, does not feel safe. Anger feels far more safe. So your anger, though it may be hurtful and harmful right now, has been something that's kept you safe for this amount of time. So acknowledging that and not being angry toward that and allowing that to have its place is a way that you can start to see that that anger can be felt in our body, and we don't have to feel vulnerable to it, and we can put ourselves in a space where we're with safe people and we can feel vulnerable. At that point, even if it's just with your therapist, at that point you can start processing through some of those traumas and not feeling like you need to lash out and feel angry when you feel triggered. And that anger can come from feeling things like unloved or unlistened to, disrespected, embarrassed, and that you feel like whenever you have that feeling as an adult with a partner or with your child or with a coworker, that feeling is remembered in your brain. So the next time you feel disrespected, then you lash out in anger, because that is safer than feeling vulnerable and letting someone know, "Hey, I don't like whenever you speak to me like that. Please don't." Because that probably was not heard in your past. You probably tried to talk to someone like that in your past, and especially if you felt unheard or disrespected, it probably wasn't validated by another adult. So your anger is warranted, your anger is important, and it was useful. But for those of us who are harming others by our anger, it is time to maybe look at that and see what those feelings are in your body, and see where those vulnerabilities are, and see if you have a safe person you can talk to. Just start to kind of let some of that go. If you don't, there's plenty of mental health professionals available out there who have trauma experience that can help you and give you the support that you need. So thank you guys for listening. Trauma and anger was today's topic. We will see you next week. See you later.